good mob problems. We're happy to my kaiju. Welcome to a special bonus/bonus edition of the Reely Scared podcast. My name is Taylor. I'm always your thick monkey on this journey, and next to my to my right here is the what would you say, chonky lizard?
He's a thick daddy. Call him what he is. He's a thick daddy. He's a beautiful daddy. He's Godzilla.
Thick, beautiful daddy, Connor Breedlove. Welcome to a bonus edition of Reely Scared. You know, for the first time in a long time, we are talking about a new release movie. Yeah, been a while since we've done this. Really haven't done it since what? November, probably?
Yeah, November, because December is when we got into like the older releases.
Yeah, we didn't do it through December. It used to be our bread and butter. If you're new to the show, obviously now what we do is we have guests on, talk about all sorts of horror films. But last year we would talk about new release. That was kind of our jam. And I've been missing it. I don't know if you've been missing that.
I have been missing it, and it's cool to get back into it. You know, we're not really entirely ditching our new format. We are going back to our old format, talking about a new movie, but we also have a guest to talk about it with us.
Absolutely.
Should we pull him in?
The best parts of all things coming together here. You know him. He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the channel. He's the co-host of Spin from the Reel.
He's the co-host
of Wrestle Reel.
He's the co-host of...
He's the only host of, for Chris's sake.
Yeah.
And he's beautiful and handsome, and we love him so much. The very talented, the personality of Who Are They Real Entertainment, Chris Anthony Lopez.
Yo!
I almost dropped some...
You almost spilled the beans there, bud.
I'm sorry.
No bean spilling. That's
excited.
our
You're
life.
excited.
When I get some alcohol on me, I get a little bit talkative, so I'm sorry.
You're excited. Trust me, I'm excited too. But
we'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there. And I'm excited for it when that thing you teased ever so slightly does happen. But you know, I'm excited to be here on Reely Scared. I know I may be here a little bit later in the month. Actually, I may not. I will be here later in the month.
You don't have to spoil that.
Yeah,
April 20th.
Yeah, that's out. That's out already, right? I did kind of spoil it on Spin from the Reel a couple weeks ago.
That's okay.
I did.
April 29th, you'll be back talking about one of my all-time favorite horror genre or horror franchises, Evil Dead.
Right.
Evil Dead 2. So
I'm stoked. I'm so stoked to talk about Evil Dead 2.
But today you're here to talk about Godzilla versus Kong, the newest HBO Max, Warner Brothers hybrid release. Kind of a hot button like release. Like there's a lot of conflicting opinions on this movie.
Big movie. Really big release in that we're actually seeing like quasi normal box office numbers for this.
Yeah, this is the highest box office grosses for the pandemic era, and that's, you know, speaking from March, like February, March area to this year, this March, April time. And it's made 250 some million.
Yeah, worldwide.
Since March 31st, worldwide.
Yeah, like most significant opening we've seen since what? Sonic the Hedgehog last year, I think.
Yeah. Which
the
is
last quasi-normal movie release. So yeah, it's exciting to be here to talk about Godzilla versus Kong, which is it a horror movie? I mean, no. But at the same time,
it's
I think
monsters.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's still so much crossover in the world of monster movies and kaiju flicks and things like that. Like I still think that they're all kind of occupying the same sort of world, same kind of niche. This is obviously a huge tentpole blockbuster, massive movie. So, is it a little bit of a technicality covered on Reely Scared? Sure, but it's our show and we wanted to talk about Godzilla versus Kong. So that's what we're here to do.
We've talked about it so much, and the director is no stranger to the horror genre. That director is Adam Wingard, directed You're Next, The Guest, Blair Witch, Death Note, and then finally this. Like he's prolific in the horror genre, and I love Adam Wingard. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people are iffy on him since his last couple of releases, but I've loved everything he's done. So I'm pretty high on this movie. I'm not sure about you guys.
In regards to Adam Wingard, before we actually talk about his latest work, I mean, I have not seen any of the movies you guys have just mentioned. Like, this is my first Adam Wingard flick that I'm checking out, and I mean, just going off of the little filmography Connor just gave, this is the most out there of his choices as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
His whole filmography. And that's a trend that's been in Hollywood for a few years now.
Yeah.
Giving a guy that is known for one thing and giving him something on the polar opposite side of the spectrum. I mean, we saw Jordan Peele do it, but him jump into the horror side, you know, with Get Out in 2017. So it's been a little bit since we've gotten this trend. But I mean, with Adam Wingard, with him coming from a smaller, like, maybe, I don't want to say independent, but smaller budgeted, or even that Netflix produced Death Note, right? Like these are smaller projects. None of these are, I mean, what horror movies are really big now? Like the trend in horror movies are smaller the budget, the better the movie, really.
Yeah.
And there's nothing real big and grand about the horror genre, which kind of is what gives it its charm at the end of the day. But with this movie, to be exact, I mean, none of my issues with it stemmed from Wingard, if that makes any sense. It wasn't anything he did directly. It was more so some overarching problems I had with the other movies and just the trend that the MonsterVerse has had. At the end of the day, damn, this movie was so much fun. I thought he did a great job with it.
You talk about charm. There's a lot of charm to this movie. I saw this movie on the big screen. I saw it on the XD screen. Charming as hell. A lot of fun. Smile on my face the whole time through the mask. Even when I was eating popcorn, I was smiling. This movie's just fun, enjoyable, entertaining. I had so much fun. I was smiling. I loved it. I didn't really find much to not like about this movie.
So yeah, just to kind of give base thoughts, obviously, and we should, I guess, preface it. We're going to get into spoilers. It's going to be a full-on discussion of the film, but to give kind of base thoughts, I also, even this obviously streaming on HBO. I didn't go see it in the theater. I went and caught it at a drive-in, which is exactly how I wanted to see this movie. I knew even from the start, I was like, please let the drive-in open up in time, because in the same way that I would associate monster movies with horror and subgenre and B movies and things like that, that's what I associate with drive-ins automatically. I think of sci-fi movies or B. I think that's like where B movies originates, where the whole phrase originates from. So I think of giant monsters on that drive-in screen. I was like, that would be perfect. So we got to go. Jess and I and her son, which is cool for him because like he hasn't seen many Godzilla movies, so like he's so curious about it. So like to kind of see it through his eyes was super cool. Because I grew up a Godzilla kid, and it was great. We froze our asses off. It was like 30 degrees, which was really that's the only complaint. We were freezing our asses off, but it was worth it. It was really cool to see it in that way. Just big screen, sound coming out of my car speakers, but big sound. Crank it all the way up. Bass, boom, crank it up. Godzilla versus Kong. I want to hear that stuff, and I am excited that it is on HBO because that means for the next 30 days I can just go watch it again. Right. If I want to watch one scene, I want to watch the Hong Kong scene, right? Just throw it back on and go. I'll probably do it after we do this tonight. Connor, you watched it 3 times already?
3 times.
Yes, I've seen it in the theater and then twice on HBO Max.
Wow. That's
I'm seriously in love with this movie. It's so fun. It brings a smile to my face. Like I just throw it on to feel happy. Like it's such a fun movie.
It is a lot of fun, that's for sure, and that's what it needs to be. I mean, that's what it is on the marquee. Godzilla is going to fight King Kong.
Yeah,
like that by nature needs to be a fun movie.
I really can't recall the last time I had this much fun in a movie theater, especially in like pandemic era. Like, sure, I had so much fun. Like, I really can't think back before pandemic era. When was the last time I smiled this much during a movie?
Mhm.
It's been a long ass time.
The first thing that comes to mind is maybe like Spider-Man Far From Home, something like that, where I had a lot of fun watching it. Shit, I saw that movie 3 times in a week. So at the theater,
like seeing Kong just
this was a different kind of fun
to Godzilla.
Right.
I'm through and through Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
But seeing Kong give Godzilla a mean right hook, because I fell for Godzilla. I really fell for Godzilla in this movie. I came in like Team Godzilla. I was feeling for Kong.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hype going into that, right? And big ups to the promotion campaign, right? Like
the promotion campaign with those.
They really had to double down on this because this was I know Tom and Jerry had come out, that doesn't count, and Judas and the Black Messiah comes out, doesn't count. But this is like the first big theater and HBO movie, like big and blockbuster and how grand it is. And I know we'll probably get into this later, but damn, it worked on both sides of the board. And this movie, right? I'm so glad I got to see it in the theater, and I'm glad y'all got to see it on as big of a screen as you possibly can. And that's how I recommend watching this movie.
Absolutely.
Like I told folks, like if you're gonna watch this son of a bitch, like you got to see it on the biggest screen as you can, as loud as you can. So,
yeah, straight from even the opening, like title, as it came like shaking in on the screen, brought a smile to my face. Like it's just so cool.
And they wasted no time of bringing in the monsters either. Like the first thing was that Pensacola Godzilla thing.
Yeah,
that was like that's what started the movie. And we saw Gojira in his glory, right? And he's over there standing in the Gulf of Mexico, like yes, me. And the damn monsters in these movies are so well done. The CGI is so mother trucking good. Like that's no one can complain. I know people may not like these movies. People may not like any certain parts of this, but one thing we cannot deny is how much money goes into these and how well it's used, especially with these damn monster designs and how great they are, especially in this movie where there are lingering shots of these two CGI beasts fighting each other or fighting other things or doing other things, like they look spectacular. And from the jump, and Godzilla's out there like, I'm gonna use my blue fire to destroy this chemical joint. And I'm like, yep. Like I don't know what they did to you, but yep.
like go off, King.
Yeah, go off. We stand Blue Fire King. Like I'm God.
Like obviously this chemical plant is doing something shitty to Godzilla, so go off.
And trust me, we're like the Millie Bobby Browns, but in real life. It's like y'all hurt him, he didn't hurt you. like that.
So let's preface this with what this movie is about. Basically, you got, since the events of Kong Skull Island, he's been in like a containment area because since the events of King of the Monsters, like Skull Island is like in this storm. So he's like in this containment area. And Kong is going on a war, or Godzilla is going on a warpath because this cybernetic company is making something. We don't know what it is.
And it's using a lot of like the kaiju aura, right?
Yeah.
And throwing out those waves.
Yeah, it's setting off something with Godzilla. And Godzilla's trying to stop it, but it's presented in a way that Godzilla is hurting people.
Yeah, Kyle Chandler says he's very upset. Godzilla's hurting people. He's so upset.
Yeah.
What do you sound like, Taylor?
Godzilla's hurting people. He's like, he's my best friend and he's hurting people.
And basically the big solution is the other alpha, Kong. We'll use him.
Right.
Well, they don't want to necessarily use it because they're like shielding him away from. That's the other narrative that kind of emerges.
Yeah, they're kind of shielding him. They've been shielding him from Godzilla in this containment area, but
because they want Kong to go to
this story is
find the hidden paths.
And this is a lot of people's criticism of this movie is the human element, but it also digs deeper into the conflict between the monsters, I have no issue with the human element in this movie. I really don't.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because that's the most consistent criticism of all these movies, and I don't think it's
human element.
And I don't think it's even it's not inaccurate to say that this franchise, the MonsterVerse, the Godzilla movies, Kong Skull Island, all of them have maybe not had the most steady rollout and reception that maybe Warner Brothers had hoped for. They've always had kind of polarizing receptions, or like maybe the returns aren't as high as they wanted to be, where it's like they couldn't quite get the momentum there, but it was still enough where they could keep doing it and put new movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the most consistent criticism through basically all those movies, especially the Godzilla ones, is that people always want to talk about the human element, like where it's on one side they're like, oh, I don't want to see the people at all. I just want to see the monsters fight. It cuts away every time Godzilla shows up. You got to look at these people and it's boring. And then that the human element isn't interesting enough, doesn't pop enough. The characters don't matter. Things like that. Had you guys felt that way about previous entries in the franchise, or had that never bothered you?
Never has bothered me.
How about you, Chris?
Really has never bothered me.
I mean, it didn't really start bothering me until King of Monsters, because I don't like. There's a difference between like hating characters because they're just genuinely not well written characters, and not liking humans because you want to see the monsters punch each other.
Right.
Like, and my thing is, I just hate some of the decisions that the writers make these characters do in previous iterations. Like, just some things that were just plain stupid and idiotic. Mm-hmm. And primarily with I forget the last name of Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown's characters in this movie, but it's like Dr. Emma something from King of Monsters.
Right.
I think like they had to write her to make they spun her character in a whole 180 halfway through the film just so we can have an antagonist, or we can have something bad happen to incite the big event that happened at the end of the film, which I get why you do that, but damn it, it came out of nowhere. And it's like, when I rewatched the movie before I saw this film, I'm like, no, I got mad again. I got hot all over again. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you stupid person, irredeemable. You can do and you can try to redeem yourself. No, it's going to fail. And that's dumb. But let's be real. The only reason why we go to these movies are to see the things in action. Godzilla. No one went to go see Godzilla, the 2014 one, for Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen. We may do that now.
Now they went for Bryan Cranston.
And the first 10 minutes of Bryan Cranston are fantastic. But after that, once the character is gone from the movie, you stick around for Godzilla and they make you wait for it with the Jaws effect, right? And it's totally worth it. It pans out. Kong Skull Island, they make you follow these characters around, doing the whole Kong shtick. These characters get picked off one by one, whatever. You don't really care about them anyway, unless their names are Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson or John C. Reilly. And yeah, whatever. But in this movie, the humans didn't really bother me. Yeah, where there's some there were just some people there. They're evil for the sake of being evil, but at the same time, it's like Thanos. It's like from the Marvel flicks. Like, hey, maybe you're right. You're justified in your thinking. You're just going about it the wrong way. Like a Killmonger in Black Panther. I forget the guy's name, but the Latin guy that was in charge of the big corporation.
Evil Man.
Yeah, like his name could have been Evilman, and that would have made sense. But at the same time, his thought process was like, we need something to fight off these big things. Humans need to take the power back. Yeah. Okay, I can rock with this. But he's like, oh, we must do it, and we must keep it a secret. As like we freaking just play with our mustaches, and we are being like, we're coming off as assholes, even though it's like, no, your reason's justified. You don't need to be an asshole about this. And no, like,
but the way they're going about it is very shitty.
No, totally, and that's my problem. And it's the writing of the characters, but at the same time, I don't go for the character. I don't go for these humans. I go for Godzilla and Kong, and I got more than enough of that.
I love the human element in this movie.
It needs to drive. This one,
like
totally.
in King of Monsters, I don't mind the human element. It's not my favorite part of the movie. It's the monsters in that movie. In this one, like the human element, the human storylines between all of the characters are equal to the monsters in this movie. I like the whole like what's his name? The conspiracy theorist.
Brian Tyree Henry's character.
Yes, and Millie Bobby Brown. I like their whole storyline, like meeting up. I think he has some of the funniest lines. I think some of their scenes shared together are some of the best scenes, besides the fighting scenes between the monsters. I liked a lot of the human elements in this movie, as well as all of the fighting between the monsters.
Don't get me wrong, I like the actors in these movies, like especially in this one.
It's King of the Monsters. I forgot. I rewatched. I was like, there's a lot of famous people in this movie.
For real, yeah. There's a lot of famous folks.
Yeah, that's true here as well. They got a lot of. I mean, they're bringing in Alex Skarsgård. He's new to these films, and he's kind of the human lead. They bring in is it Elzar Isa Gonzalez? Isa Gonzalez, who doesn't get much to do. She's just kind of
there to be there.
I clapped during a certain scene. We'll get to it, but I clapped.
She just kind of shows up and remarks on what is happening for most of the movie. But I think the smartest choice, the human element's okay. I thought it was okay. I think anybody who really with the original 2014 Godzilla, I got it at the time. I was one of those people when that movie came out. I was like, every time Godzilla shows up, they're like, cut away. I'm like, what's going on? Because but it was different at the time because it was like we didn't have a bunch of new Godzilla movies. Toho was still putting one out here and there. I think Shin Godzilla came out around the same time. But like we didn't have a whole series to kind of go through. So it was like finally big budget, Hollywood Godzilla. I'm so excited to see it. And so I was a little aggravated the first time I watched it. But I revisited all these movies in the past week and found out I actually like all of them quite a bit. So that was kind of fun to revisit and see them in a new light. And I appreciated a lot of what the Gareth Edwards, right? Gareth
Edwards directed the first one.
Okay, I always mix him up with Gareth Evans, who's the Raid guy. Gareth Edwards directed. I appreciate a lot of what he's doing in that one because it's not present in the other ones, which do become so bombastic and crazy and ridiculous. Whereas that one, it's like, how do you make a subtle Godzilla movie? What would that look like? I appreciate what he was doing in that one a little bit more, which isn't to say I don't appreciate these ones. Now I can kind of see what his take was. It
sticks out like a sore thumb in hindsight.
It is really funny to go back.
The way they moved from it is because of the criticism of the first one. Everybody was like, why would you cut away from Godzilla stomping through an airport?
Yeah.
They were pissed off.
I didn't like it a ton. I remember being let down by it.
I remember loving it. I saw it on my birthday. Loved it.
I appreciate it more. And it is really funny to revisit it now and then like watch this one because that one is realistic's not the right word, but it's like it's very in the moment where it's like Godzilla's here and the American military is trying to figure out how to fight him. And this one, they're like, we're taking a spaceship to the center of the earth and like all this crazy stuff. Now, like it's like, man, the world got a lot weirder in the last like 7 years for these guys. But anyway, I appreciate what that movie's doing. The human element has bothered me less and less. It really didn't bother me much in this movie. I think one of the best choices that they make in this movie, and I'd like to hear whether you guys picked up on this too or you felt this way, was like they kind of make Kong the main character of the movie.
Yes.
I think this functions way more as a sequel to Skull Island than it actually does as like a Godzilla movie.
Absolutely, and I was surprised by it and surprisingly loved it. I came in like, oh, this is a new Godzilla movie. And I was taken aback because I was like, oh, Godzilla's getting its shit rocked. And I'm feeling for Godzilla or Kong. Like, I feel for Kong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, I really feel bad for him. I want him to succeed in this movie. And I was taken aback from it because I was like, I went into this diehard Godzilla fan. It's like, wow, I'm feeling for Kong. And like the whole movie is really focused on Kong mostly.
He has kind of a journey he goes through in this movie.
Yeah.
He has an arc, which is which is nuts to say.
He's got an emotional arc.
Right.
Especially in the Hollow Earth stuff, which is some of my favorite stuff of this movie is the Hollow Earth stuff.
And that's a whole different thing that I want to touch on when we get there, of course.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Taylor, to go back for a second, the human stuff was there to drive the plot because it's really hard to make a monster movie like this and have the gorilla or the lizard carry the plot with no dialogue. Like,
how are you
really
gonna justify the fight without the human element? How are you going to justify Hollow Earth without the human element?
And we're too nosy as humans to not get involved, you know?
Yeah.
So and talk about realistic, it makes sense into why the humans are like all hands on in this stuff.
Yeah.
But Kong was totally the lead now I think about it.
Yeah.
And it does suit more of a Skull Island 2 more so than Godzilla 3. But I would even go as far as saying like this movie does kind of play off of what happened in King of Monsters. Like he's Godzilla beat Ghidorah, and he's like, whatever Godzilla sounds like, and he's like, yeah, like sweet, cool, and he's looking for the other guy. It's like he's sensing for that other's presence that this mysterious Latin Japanese or Latin Chinese company is doing, right? And I totally get that. So then, and they make it a point to let us know, like the second Kong leaves this space, Godzilla's gonna be like, "Oh, that's what I was looking for," and try to fight that. And all it took was one line of dialogue, and I'm like, I believe it, I buy it. Like that, that's it's more than enough reason to make them fight. Besides the fact that it's like, "Oh, you hurt me, no, you hurt me," and they start punching each other. Like
they're both alphas,
right? And they let us, and they almost too much hit us over the head with the like, Kong bows to no one, and he's over there like playing with the chains, like whatever, like, and it's this whole thing, right? But the humans aren't that bad. Like in this one, I know my buddy I went to go see this movie with, he hated the little girl, hated her.
I loved her,
and I'm like, yo, I thought she was like the best part.
She's
of the movie.
she's deaf in real life.
Yeah, they got a deaf actress to play her, which is nuts. Yeah, and shout out to was it Rebecca Hall?
Rebecca Hall's on this. Yeah, another huge actor.
Yeah,
doing the whole sign stuff. Like it was really cool, and it made this movie. As stupid as it sounds, it made sense. This movie made sense, as dumb as that might sound.
The connection between Kong and the little girl, beautiful. Sometimes brought a tear to my eye.
We need a bridge. Like you need a bridge to make. Why would this big ass gorilla cooperate with these people?
With the humans. It's because this little girl can communicate with them.
Mm-hmm. And apparently she was teaching them sign this whole time. Yeah. And Rebecca Hall's like, what the hell? And Monkey's like, it's like, that's what it's great, dude.
It was a great Planet of the Apes moment, right? Like but that's why I think it's so smart to, like you guys said, you got to have the human element to drive the plot. And that's not new to these legendary flicks either. Like I think people either just didn't really watch the old school movies or like forgot. There's a lot of people sitting around talking in those movies.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
You got to wait till you get, two dudes in a suit.
Shin Godzilla is a lot of human, like literally just humans sitting in an office discussing what to do next.
Yeah. It's one of the
greatest. That is what Shin Godzilla is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been present here. I think the finding an avenue for Kong to actually have agency in the plot beyond I will fight him, right? Because that's really because you can't project on Godzilla that much, which I also recently learned was like an actual Toho note. They were like, because Toho still gets to like advise on like the rights around these things are always super weird. Toho gets to like give final permission on things with Godzilla, and they're like, he can't show emotion. He's just got to go in there and be a killing machine. Like he's just got to be.
And Adam Wingard overcame that, and there's a lot of emotion in Godzilla in this movie.
But it's harder to project onto him, whereas like it's Kong. He's a primate. Like he shows emotion on his face, and actually, like you guys said, is able to communicate with the characters in this.
Right.
He has dialogue through sign language. He has freaking dialogue.
He has the monkey talks in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. I didn't expect to say that 2 weeks ago. That the monkey be talking to me the whole time.
And it rules.
Yeah. And I think it was a smart choice. I think this is cognizant of the criticisms of previous entries in this series. I think it's clear. People are still harping on the human element. I think it's clear at this point. If you make it this far into these movies and you're like, I just don't like the human stuff, then I just think you don't like these movies, and that's cool.
I just don't think you're gonna like these movies ever, no matter what they do.
Right.
They can ace the human element. You're still not gonna like it because you just don't like these movies.
Yeah.
The human element in this movies, like especially, is very well done in my opinion. And if you still don't like it, you're just never going to like these movies.
Right.
You can think like the first couple were okay and then just started not liking them. You're just never going to like them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But like it's not a bad movie. It's really not.
It's not. Like, and none of these movies are bad.
This movie did not need to be Citizen Kane.
Right.
This movie is literally Big Lizard versus Big Ape.
Big Monkey. Yeah, Big Monkey.
It's fun. If you didn't have fun in this movie, I don't know what you expected out of this movie. This movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, it's a blast. It really, I was super happy to see it in the way that I did, because this felt to me like it really got me back to the experience that I've been missing for the past year or so.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. It was really like, okay, here is big new movie. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I know these guys are going to duke it out, but beyond that, like, I don't know what's going to happen, and just the intrigue and the excitement and the anticipation and being there in the moment and having a great time watching this gigantic, bombastic, ridiculous new movie, and just constantly feeling like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, that's just that feeling of, and we should dive into kind of the other end of this movie, which is like, okay, human stuff's over here, but all that is really to get to the monster action. We should jump in, because
let's do it.
Yeah. As soon as these guys show up on the screen at the same time, and they introduce Godzilla. They're smart. They know, open up the film on Godzilla wrecking shit, set up his, he's kind of a jerk in this movie. He's kind of, for the while, an antagonist, really. Every time he shows up, it's like, oh god damn it, this dude's coming back. He's kind of he's really hot on, like, I'm the king. No one else gets to think they're the king. If you think you're the king, I'm gonna come beat you up. Like, that's Godzilla. That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
In these movies, that's all he cares about currently. He's like, I'm the king of the monsters. You're just Kong. You're not King Kong. Me. That's what he would say if he could sign language. So he's just going on a world tour, reminding everybody that he's the best. All the stuff with Kong's really good early. I love the twist of, like, him throwing the spear at the dome and revealing he's in there. That was a great.
That was awesome. That was really cool.
Like, he knows he's in a simulation. I was like, oh,
right.
He's pissed.
Right. Which apparently I get. So I might have missed part of. They said, like, everybody on Skull Island got, like, wiped out from that storm or something.
Yeah. So the storm Ghidorah caused, like, everywhere Ghidorah went, caused a giant, like, global storm.
Okay. So all the friends.
For the last 5 years, Skull Island has been in, like, a perpetual storm.
Okay.
And so they've had to keep Kong, like, all the humans were wiped out. They found this little girl. They kept Kong in this, like, simulation outside, like, to keep him from the storm. The little girl was found. Rebecca Hall's character has been raising her. And yeah, that's that.
God, Ghidorah was such an asshole.
Such a bitch.
He was a dick, dude. Like, he was the worst. Granted, he should have been the worst. And I love the Ghidorah stuff in King of Monsters. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So they introduce the monsters, and they kind of space them throughout, which is smart, because it does take a little bit to get to the first fight. I feel like it comes in about maybe.
They make us wait for it. Yeah.
Like 30 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, figuring out a way to put Kong in there without all the scenes needing to be smashy was smart, because then it helps tide it over until you get through all the Hollow Earth stuff and Millie Bobby Brown's character and, like, little side quest she's going on, like, setting all that up. But finally they say, okay, you waited long enough. And just the hype, You already knew from the trailers how this.
In the soundtrack leading up to this moment.
Yo, let's talk about that Junkie XL score. Can I tell you this? You know that I enjoyed a movie if on the way home from the movie I'm
listen to the soundtrack
and putting the score on, because I was like, because that says, hey, I want to live in that world for a little bit longer, even though the movie's over.
Yeah.
Right.
And this score is fucking terrific.
And let me tell you, all of Adam Wingard's movies have fantastic scores. Fantastic, like synthy, like poppy kind of soundtracks and scores. He's always had kick-ass scores.
Yeah.
And I've always revisited them. And this one's no different. This score and this soundtrack is so good.
I hate to
sound like the synthy like beat comes on. I'm like, oh god, I love this fucking movie.
I hate to sound like that guy, right? But when I watch a film and I listen to the music, right? Like when I catch myself listening to the scores more so than I ever did, right? Mm-hmm. And with this movie, to be exact, I'm sitting down to my buddy who doesn't watch movies the same way we do, right?
Yeah.
Like, and not saying we're above anybody. Everyone watches movies differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And him and I, we view these movies differently. And I was listening to it, the score, I'm like, yeah, this is hard. Yeah. And especially like to me, the ones that stuck out were when Godzilla was on screen.
Yeah.
And like when Godzilla was around, when he was present, or when you felt his presence there, like to the part where Taylor's mentioning, where Kong's on the ship and he's like, and they're like, yo, you got the lizards coming, and he's coming fast, and they're like, wait, what? And then like, get the shackles off the monkey, and like it's this whole thing. And the second like Gojira makes himself known, like, and the score kicks in and they start fighting each other, like this fight rules. This was all over the trailers, over it, but I felt like I was watching it for the first time. I was like, ooh, oh, like I caught myself pointing at the screen, which I don't typically do. Like I'm not like the guy that audibly makes reactions. I'm the point guy. I'm like, ooh, like that, like that's me. And I caught myself pointing at the screen. I'm like, oh, like, I mean, that's the shot in the trailer where Kong just punches Godzilla.
Yeah, I gasped. I was like, let's
go. That's what it felt real to me when I was watching. Because obviously all the setup was there. But I'm like, this rules.
Like Kong can hold his own. Like
he's a strong boy.
Throwing haymakers on this bitch.
And on the underwater stuff. Right. Yeah. And maybe this helped because it was daylight and it was well lit and like you could see everything.
Which is something very different from these movies.
Right. Like King of Monsters, the entire third act was in clouds.
Right.
And you couldn't really see anything. Right. But in this one, it was in the daylight. Or in the third act, everything was neon lit.
Yeah.
So it was
well lit stuff. Again, not different from Adam Wingard's style.
If that's the case, then I mean they got the perfect guy to do it, because it was this first fight, which by the way, Godzilla totally won. This first fight, but they do in a way where they just kick so much ass.
You don't know who's gonna win. It was up in the air for the whole fight.
Feels like, pretty rigged fighting on the water, though. It's like, okay,
yeah,
Godzilla.
Fighting on water
we got
was
real
totally
cocky out here with the monkey who can't swim.
But when Kong was throwing haymakers on Godzilla, I was like, oh, Kong's about to win this.
Right, when they were on the ship, when they were standing on like battleships.
And like, then this is Kong nuts. Jumping from ship to ship. I was like, Kong's winning this. Like, I can't believe this. Like,
you see him kind of figuring it out. He's like, all right, if I hop between the ships,
Godzilla should be dominating straight up, and Kong is kind of making Godzilla look like a bitch.
But look at everything Godzilla was doing even before he got to Kong, destroying all these warships. Like the scene where he left, when he left, like he was in the ocean. There's all this rubble and fire behind him. He's like, I got your dumb ass. And he went away. It's like, that's so cool. That's so cool to me. And the underwater stuff was dope.
Godzilla was going to lose this fight. And that's such a good, like, they balanced the fight scenes very well, where you don't know who's going to win. And in this first fight, Godzilla does win. Granted, they're in water, so obviously Godzilla's going
Home
to
field
win.
advantage goes to the lizard that lived underwater. That lives underwater.
Got killed.
Right. He lives underwater. He got nuked underwater last time, and then that's when he was like, yes.
All right, I'm going
power.
thermonuclear in literally destroying Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
Good thing he only got one use on that move, or this would have been a really short movie.
It would have been such a short movie because I was waiting. I was like, is this dude going to go thermonuclear? Like, when is this going to happen? Oh, wait, no nukes have been set off.
Super long cooldown on his special move. He didn't have it yet.
Years of
years.
Which, thank God, yeah, because
you would have to go back to Hollow Earth to get that shit.
You would have the opening scene of this movie, and that would be it, because the entire world would have ended.
Decimated.
Yeah, no, that scene, the first fight scene is great, and it really is. You really do feel like, oh, okay, here's what I came for. Here we go.
Yeah.
And again, I got to give so much credit to the score. This is how I always felt about these new Godzilla movies, is how much work the score's doing and making Godzilla feel scary. Even like the first movie, they did that
and
brilliant.
These close-ups on him are scary.
He's just pissed off. He's ugly and he's angry all the time.
Yeah.
So angry in these movies.
In the first couple, I was like, this motherfucker's cute. I'm going to hug him. And this one, I was like, oh, shit, he's pissed.
And these movies,
scary.
And these movies, the energy I've always gotten from this Godzilla is like he finally, after a long day from work, went to bed, and you woke, like, he's always just got this look of like, you woke me up for what? Like the last movie, it was like he was like, Ghidorah, are you shitting me? I got to come all the way down to Antarctica to deal with this. Now this one, he's like, it was like, who was making that noise? I'm gonna fight. I'm killing every single one of you, dude, until you turn that noise off. The energy I get from him is like, I'm a man. If I hear one of you guys saying otherwise, I swear to God, it's gonna be problems. And he's always just got this look of like, oh, you fuck. He's so angry all the time. Like he just wants to go underwater and chill. But you guys,
I just want to hug him.
Bring him back in.
I just want to hug him.
I don't think he wants that.
I don't think he wants that at all. Like, and that's the thing, right? Like, I believe it was the beginning of the second film where they were like, yo, he's here to help us. Like, people are going to die, but at the end of the day, he's here to handle whatever is dealing with us, and then he leaves. Like, that's really what he does. And in the first film, he goes, handles those, what are they called? The
Mutos.
The Mutos?
The Mutos, yeah, he handles the Mutos, and he goes to the ocean, and that's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't look down at Kyle Chandler or whoever, or Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's like, and then he goes like Kong's out here like deals with the problem. Then he like high fives Brie Larson, and then he goes back into the like this Godzilla is to me I always got like cooler older brother vibes. I'm like like that guy's awesome. He's like,
just want to rub his belly.
I don't think he'd like that either. I think for me it's like a mutual respect.
Like a good belly rub, dude.
No,
maybe like I do, but like Godzilla, like I think he like it's like I respect you, you respect me, you deal with whatever you're doing. I'm gonna leave you alone. You go back into the water where you belong or where you would like to go. But in this one, like he came with this whole new energy off the bat. And like what y'all are saying, he's pissed. He's mad. And whatever the hell, like Taylor's over here saying, like, yo, like, what's that racket? And like it's like, and that's what it is. And that's it for the entire movie. Godzilla is pissed off. Yeah. And Kong's over here like, and like we don't know what this man's doing. And Kong's just an innocent bystander as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's not invested in this stuff at all. He by the same token, he's like, I want to be back on my island. I just want to be hanging out.
Leave me the hell alone. I was fine before y'all found me.
Yeah.
Like
I want my family. I want to be home. Like, find me a home. God damn it.
You dragged me into this Godzilla nonsense. Like and the Godzilla's like, you guys killed me in the last one. And then you woke me up so I could deal with your problems again. Like,
right.
Like, you motherfuckers.
I always read Godzilla in these as like, I never really thought of him as like, oh, he likes humanity. He's an ally to humanity. He's just like, you're inconsequential, and the things I hate keep showing up. I need to fight them, and that's good for you. But I'm just doing
you guys keep bringing them.
Yeah.
You guys are pieces of shit. Keep waking me up. I have to fix your messes.
Yeah.
And now like, I'm done fixing them. yes, there's damage, but I'm going to go back to sleep. I swear to God, if you guys fucking wake me up again in the next 5 years, hell will rain down on you.
He got close.
Time.
Yep, they keep waking him up every time. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill, as the great Wesley
Seriously.
said. So yeah, Godzilla pretty much wins this fight in the ocean. Great scene, great score. I love when King Kong throws planes at him. It's awesome. Yeah. Great. I was just like, yes, the whole time. I'm pointing. I'm going, yes. Like we're in the drive-in, so like we have our own running commentary. Like there's not quite a demanded quiet, so just going like, oh, like you're just making noises and stuff. It's great. Great scene. And then following that, the driving force is now, because the whole thing is like, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole thing wasn't necessarily we got to get Kong out to deal with Godzilla. It was we got to have Kong lead us to the Hollow Earth where we might find a way to deal with Godzilla. That was their thing, right?
So
for the most part.
So basically, Apex, this cybertronic like company,
the new conglomerate, shady corporation.
Yeah, right. They're coming up with something.
Other monarch
power source, and they know where the power source is. It's in Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
They go to the leading theorist on Hollow Earth, and that's Alexander Skarsgård's character.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes to Rebecca Hall's character, and it's like she's the leading, she communicates with Kong. She is Kong, like, centric.
Best friend.
So we need her. So he goes to Rebecca Hall and is like, we need Kong to lead us to Hollow Earth, because you've always said Skull Island is Hollow Earth leading up into Earth.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we will stop Godzilla from killing people in this rampage he's on. So that's why they get him on the boat to lead them to the hole in Antarctica.
Yeah, their little station because they know they know one of the paths to get there, and they figured out now it's not just like, oh, it's a tunnel. It's like it's literal like wormholes embedded in the earth that make you travel at light speed to the core. Which, by the way, in rewatching these, I kind of picked out, oh, they really have been sort of building to this Hollow Earth.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any mention of it in the 2014 one, but there's mention of it in Skull Island and a lot of mention of it in King of the Monsters. Bradley Whitford's talking about that shit a lot. Who's not in this? I was also kind of surprised to see who wasn't in this one.
Yeah, we don't get.
It's a lot of new faces, a lot of newer faces, and some returning faces.
We don't see Ice Cube's son in this.
Yeah, the soldiers. I mean, and I guess I get it, like, because that's a thing. At the end of the day, it's about the creatures. So you just kind of plug in the characters. You plug in the characters who are gonna get you to where you need to go.
Like
so,
Kyle Chandler was barely in this.
Yeah, he's.
We don't see Vero Farmiga. We don't see her.
She got disintegrated in King of the Monsters.
Did she?
Yeah, she was. I mean, if nothing else, she was in the city. She was in Boston when Godzilla got so mad that the city melted.
That's right. That's right.
I'm pretty. You don't see Ghidorah kill her necessarily on screen, but it's pretty much implied.
It's insinuated that she died, that she sacrificed herself for the greater good. But like, it's your fault that we're here, you dumb bitch.
Yeah, it's your fault. This entire movie happened, and Boston will never exist again.
And you broke Kyle Chandler's heart. How dare you?
Yeah, you made Kyle Chandler cry, which is the worst crime of all. Which is why I'm so mad at Godzilla, because he's very upset. Godzilla's hurting people. But so they've been kind of working towards this Hollow Earth thing through the whole franchise, which is really a really funny, like, weird addition, because Hollow Earth is like a real kind of like conspiracy sort of quasi science thing that people actually believe. Right, it's not something they just full stop made up. So I would be very curious to know like who and how and why they thought they introduced that. But it plays a huge part in the plot. The whole like second act is about pretty much getting to and then being in the Hollow Earth.
Right.
How did you guys feel about Hollow Earth? Because to me this was a very unique sequence.
The Hollow Earth stuff is so cool.
What you think about, Chris?
No, like yeah, it was so weird. I was confused about what was top, what was bottom a lot of the time.
Right.
And I know like, and I'm trying to think to myself like, oh, I'm trying to pick apart if this makes any sense. I'm like, you know what? No, it doesn't make any sense. Who cares? I'm just gonna rock with it. And
we don't know what Hollow Earth is.
Right. And
So
they did a poor job of telling us too.
You can play by your own rules here.
Whatever Alex Star Trek says, that you just have to say, okay, those are the rules.
Right. In that's what it is. That's what they do. And I rolled with it. You know, he's battling like these like lizard like pterodactyls.
There's just dinosaurs down there, straight up.
Yeah. Kong just like rips the head off this like beast. Just
it's like a snake thing.
And I was like, yes, this is so sick.
I was like wincing at some of the other designs of the insects down there, or the creatures down there. I was like, ugh, like, this is gross.
Yeah. And
remind me a little bit of like Peter Jackson's King Kong down there.
Yeah, he's just rampaging through Hollow Earth, finds basically his calling, and kind of flips upside down and like finds the sanctuary, basically where his ancestors are from.
Yeah.
And finds like this like key pretty much, but it's like an axe with a dorsal fin from Godzilla.
Yeah, the axe is like the huge MacGuffin of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it has a Godzilla dorsal fin.
Right.
So insinuating Godzilla and Kong has had this like ancient rivalry.
Yeah, they're grand.
Godzilla's been
yeah. Yeah, which fells to me, I was like, oh man, there's that prequel bait right there. They're like,
I can't wait for it.
Right.
There was a Hollow Earth Godzilla King Kong war. Like what?
I'm all there for that.
That's if people want to keep running in their mouths about the human element, then that's the movie they're gonna get.
Hollow Earth Godzilla versus Kong movie, ancient times, no humans.
No dialogue besides roars.
That's a 2.5 hour movie of Godzilla and Kong going at it.
No, because I mean, and odds are this isn't the first time these two characters in particular fought each other. It's just the first time we're seeing it.
Yeah,
and like it's really damn cool. The Hollow Earth stuff. I'm over here like, what are these eagle bat things? I don't know what these things are, but like, you know what? They're literally here so they can get Kong the axe so they can go back up because Godzilla at the same time is in Hong Kong trying to get to what was going to be the ultimate.
That's just what happens. That's not what they expected to happen. The whole point was for Apex to get the energy source from this area where Kong like leads them to.
Yeah,
right. To get like a certain heat signature or something.
It's the power of this big weapon.
Right.
To battle Godzilla.
Right.
But
up to this point, my feelings are kind of like, yeah, whatever you said. Like,
yeah, I'm over here like, you know what?
Exactly.
I'm
fine with it. I'm fine with it.
While they were down there, I did have a thing of I was like, what are they doing? Like, I was like, what are they wanting to get down here? Like, Kong got them here, and they drove a little spaceship here, and there's dinosaurs. I was like, what are they doing? Like,
because Kong knows where the energy source is.
Yeah, it just wasn't clear, like, what do they plan to do? But it was by design because
it's like a one-line thing from Alexander, and then you forget about it because there is a battle, and then there's a lot more like subplot between Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henson.
Henry. Wait, which there's stuff I thought was I will confess, like while I was watching it, I was like, this reminds me a lot of like Last Jedi, cutting to like Finn and Rose doing their thing, where it's like, and now you're invested all in this, let's go somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
Which I wasn't part of the group that really didn't like that subplot in Last Jedi, but like that is totally what I was thinking of watching this. Like, it could be a little aggravating sometimes when you're like, ooh, they're going to this really unique setting. They're in the Hollow Earth. Kong's got a fucking axe. What's next? And they're like, oh, Millie Bobby Brown looking in this computer. It's like, oh no, like I was getting a little aggravated at times when they cut over there, but they all met up in the third act in a way that was interesting and logical. Yeah. I thought they did a good job of balancing the human stuff with the monster stuff. But Hollow Earth, I thought was a really cool highlight because I didn't really anticipate going there. I did pretty good at not spoiling myself on this movie.
Absolutely, same.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate going there at all. I thought, hey, look at this really cool set piece, this unique to this series setting and iconography, and a place you could revisit in future movies, and where you create your own rules, and the gravity's weird, like parts of it are going up and parts of it are going down.
But it's still oxygen. It's like, because the humans are breathing, but it's like, you know what? Again, not going to think about it.
Yeah.
And we didn't spend too much time there either, to the movie's benefit. Like, because the longer we'd be there, the more questions raised. It's like, but we didn't spend too much time there. They were in and out, really, legitimately in and out, but up. Like we. Yeah.
They're like, don't worry, it's you get in out here really fast. Like it's thousands of miles away, but don't worry about it. We can go back really fast too. It's fine.
Right, and I know that's what leads into the big third act thing, the big action set piece. But I'm over here like, yo, it took light speed and like tunnels to get there. But are you telling me that Kong just needs his axe and climbs his way up with no problem? Like,
well, Godzilla shoots.
Oh, right. And Godzilla, by the way, blew a damn hole through the earth into this hollow joint.
I've got to talk about that too, because to go back to how I think of Godzilla in these movies, he was like marching along, right? And he like stopped, and he could like hear what was going on down there. And he was like, hold on a minute.
Wait a minute. You have my dorsal fin?
He blasts a hole all the way to the core of the earth and looks down that hole and is like, what the fuck are you doing down there? Get your ass up here now.
He destroys everything that's down there, right? That King Kong like was loving and reminiscing on, and Godzilla's like poo-pooing on all that. And he's like, like doing all like his crazy stuff, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And I know, like, of course, the fact that happened immediately made me forget this. But my first thought was, you can't cover that up. Like now there's a hole in China that leads all the way down to the center of the earth where there are these new things. It's like, how you know what?
Just fill
the
it in.
Monkey's about to punch the lizard. I don't care anymore.
Get a big shovel, fill it in.
I really had no idea what was going to happen, because before that happens, Godzilla's like looking up, and I was like, the fuck is he about to do? And then he just like
he throws up all this fire and creates a big ass hole in the middle.
Okay. And then we cut back to Hollow Earth, and then you just see the like beam of light just shoot down. I was like, oh, okay.
And Godzilla's like, you know what? I got this. And he climbs the way up.
It really did feel to me like Godzilla was looking down the hole and sees King Kong. Kong's looking up, and like somehow they're seeing each other. I mean, like, oh.
But as that's happening, like, because while this is happening, the whole the secret alternative motive for Apex is revealed.
The big surprise. Oh,
and what's her name?
Isa Gonzalez.
Isa Gonzalez.
Who would have thought?
Trying to book it out as soon as she sees these other beasts coming through this from the roof of this sanctuary. They try to book it out of that hole that Godzilla made. Kong grabs her in the heave, and I was like, do it. And then she says, oh shit, and Kong just and I was like, yes.
He peeks inside too to make sure. He's like, okay,
yeah, he's like, is this that bitch that's been
it's like, these aren't my friends.
Is this bitch that's been fucking with me all for the last week? Yep. And just blows her up, and I was like, yes.
I remember laughing my ass off because I'm like, yo, you get an actress like Isa Gonzalez to be in this movie for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And like her character dies with the greatest of ease. But I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like,
rightfully so, though. Her
Right.
death is justified. She served her purpose. Her death is justified. I was happy.
It was funny as hell.
But definitely the most like inconsequential character. Like the movie is like roughly the same if you just cut that character out.
Yeah.
You totally,
but her death scene had a lot of like fulfillment for me.
It was just it reminded me a lot of, again, Skull Island. There's that amazing scene where one of the army guys is going to sacrifice himself. He's like, run for the hills, boys, clicks the grenades, I'm going out, and the skull crawler just like whips him into the mountain, and like it didn't matter at all. Which a lot of people were like, that was fucking stupid. I was like, no, it was like, it's an example of how like we literally are inconsequential of these things. Like, you want to have your big movie moment, and they're like, this is a Godzilla movie, see you later. Like just flicks you off, like bye, just smushes you, you know. But so at that point too, it's like they went down there to get the element for Apex's purposes, so they don't get it right. Like they just
they were able to scan it.
They get the heat signature
the property before.
Okay.
Yeah,
come on, Taylor, keep up. Like
it's
they get the heat signature that matches what they needed to power this big ass.
I thought they literally
big ass mecha lizard.
I thought they literally like needed it to get up. That's why I was like, that's interesting. They went down there and revealed their villain plan, and like it just didn't come to fruition at all. And then we had like the whole third act of the movie left. I was like, that's an interesting choice.
Right. I thought the same thing. I'm like, don't they need that robot thing? And apparently they didn't, because the guy up there that was connected to the Ghidorah head, which is a whole different thing we haven't even discussed.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet.
That it's like, I'm like, oh, they just needed the heat, and then they apply it to the thing. But the guy's like, sir, we need to wait a couple hours. He's like, no, they do it now. And like it's like, oh my god. And then like what Connor said, like the whole third act kicks off because they power up Mecha Godzilla. And it's like, yeah, like that's the thing that got spoiled for me, by the way.
See, I stayed away from all spoilers, but the Ghidorah head that is like used to kind of control quotes Mecha Godzilla was teased at the end of King of Monsters.
Right.
And I didn't know whether that was coming back in this, but the whole time I was sitting there like waiting for it to, because it was like, I was like, surely they meant for that to pay off in this somehow and not like another movie. So I was waiting for it to pay off, but I didn't have that spoiled for me. I didn't necessarily have Mecha Godzilla spoiled for me, but there was that shot in the trailer where you kind of see it, and everybody
it's the opening of the trailer.
Yeah, and everybody went, well, that wasn't Godzilla. That wasn't King Kong. Looked like a machine. We all kind of figured what it was. But I didn't have it hard spoiled for me, so I still managed to have that anticipation of like, I obviously knew something was coming up in the third act. There was some surprise coming there, because we all kind of inevitably also just know by the nature of this, these guys were going to team up but before the movie was over too.
Right.
It's the nature of a crossover, these kinds of movies. So I didn't have that spoil for me. And so, yeah, I was kind of excited to see the Ghidorah head come back. It was very, kind of Pacific Rim, very kind of like Evangelion, like But again, I went, okay, sure. Like they figured out like two lines. They're like, well, the Ghidorah heads, they were separate, so they talk to each other telepathically, and that we can talk to it too. I said, oh, okay, sure, you said so. That's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, what do I know?
Yeah.
But I was, what, the character I was most surprised didn't come back. I kept waiting for this reveal. Was Charles Dance from King of the Monsters. Where the hell did that guy go? He was the one who got the Ghidorah. Like, what, he just sold it? He was like, never mind, you can have it instead. Like, where would he go? Because his whole thing, I don't think really lines up with Apex's thing. His whole thing was like, scorched earth, let the kaijus just take it back. Whereas Apex was like, no, we're the Apex predator.
We have to fight back.
Yeah, like,
reclaim balance.
Yeah, like I don't think his character would have really been cool with that. So I was like, how did they get the head? Where did Charles Dance go? I was waiting for that third act reveal where he's like, I'm in charge of it.
It's like Shredder at the end of the 2014 TMNT. It's just like a white guy like leading all of the ethnic people. It's like, come on. Like, damn.
it was weird because they deliberately like thought, okay, we're gonna make sure he lives through the last movie, which I thought was weird when I saw that movie. I was like, wow, he survived. He's the bad guy. And then this one, I was like, well, okay, he's gonna pop back up. And no, he didn't show up. There's no mention of him or anything. I just thought I don't know if they were just like Charles Dance is like, this COVID, I'm not leaving my house.
Right. No, he reformed over the last few years. He's like, you know what? It's like, we should probably stop the kaiju. I'm gonna give the heads to you guys.
Yeah, I got all this Game of Thrones money. Fuck off.
He doesn't need this W. Like, he already milked the WB. Like, he's good off the one. The one was enough.
I'll be in Space Jam 2, though.
Everybody is. We're in Space Jam 2. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
But the Mechagodzilla stuff, it only got spoiled for me. I mean, I kind of figured, and we had all discussed the movie prior, obviously. We've been highly anticipating this film. And I kept telling folks, I'm like, yo, the monkey and the lizard are going to fight each other. They're going to team up at the end, like Batman v Superman style. Yeah. It's going to be great. And they're going to fight Mechagodzilla. It's the only thing that makes sense. And because they already did Ghidorah, so they can't fight Ghidorah together.
Right.
So it's like, well, they're going to have to fight the robot Godzilla. And when you see Robot Godzilla in his glory, it's like, yes, this is awesome. It's really cool. How it happens?
They just did it.
But like, it's still really, really cool. And I got this spoiled for me on Facebook. It was the Funko Twitter page or Funko Facebook page. They released the pictures of the pops, and one of them was Mechagodzilla. Damn. And I'm like, well, damn. Like, I kind of knew, I expected this to be a thing, but I didn't want to see it. And granted, when I still saw the movie, I saw the damn robot, and I'm like, that's still really cool. Yeah, like it's pretty raw. And they had to fight one of the things from Skull Island. Yeah, I'm surprised to see those come back.
The skull crawlers.
Yeah, they had to fight that, and it was like ripping in half with this like fire beams. And I'm like, that's raw as fuck. Like, that is really, really cool. And like, it's damn it. Like, I went to this movie. I could have paid the price of admission to watch the last hour and the last hour alone, and I would have been more than satisfied with what the hell I just got. Because once like all the shit that we just said happened, and then once Kong got back up to Hong Kong, it was game over. Like, the movie, like, they're like, all right, like adrenaline shot right where the vaccine went, and you just go.
Yeah, seriously, it was like dopamine just injected into my skull from Hong Kong to the final battle with Mecha. Like, the neon fight was so cool.
It was long too. It wasn't short. It was long as hell.
Yeah. You had Kong like taking the tops of like buildings off and like throwing them at Godzilla. You had Godzilla just like tail whipping Kong. Like, it was so cool. That whole Hong Kong fight.
They were demolishing plenty of building, and they were like going to the water, and it was this long drawn out fight. Kong got one good axe hit on Godzilla, and it was but it didn't do shit to the damn lizard. And he was blowing the fire beams, all like destroying all these buildings. I'm like, oh my god. Like, this is insanity. Like, they're just.
I love how the go-to move on these beasts are like
open the mouth.
Yeah, jaw rip.
Yeah, because you see Godzilla going for it too, and you're like, oh shit, I know what that move is. That's
it's like, I watched.
And then you see Kong go for it. Yeah, and you're like, oh no.
Which I always remember. Again, this is the Peter Jackson Kong, but I remember him pulling that on the T-Rex, and I always thought, like, damn, that was cold.
Yeah, he does that on a skull crawler in Kong's Skull Island. He does that too.
Yeah,
so,
they
like,
love doing
that. Like, just a go-to move for these monsters.
That's how you know. If you get past this move, you're like, okay, this is a real fight. I gotta try.
Yeah,
right.
If this
works right each other out.
Yeah. If this works right off the bat, done deal. So when the good old fashioned doesn't work, you gotta really you gotta find some new strategies. And yes, I want to say again, the fight does look amazing. Hong Kong looks great. Like you said, Connor, I feel like that all the neon and it's totally, I think, a Adam Wingard choice. Like, I would.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna pretend like I know what the Hong Kong skyline looks like in reality, but I feel like probably definitely his idea to introduce, because all the film's filled with that neon. lighting too. I mean, it's all over the Apex slab, which is kind of hilarious. Because
Godzilla, when he's all atomic up, like he's neon blue, you know.
But Adam Wingard is like, jack my movie up with neon right now.
Yeah, he loves that shit. So I think part of why that looks so cool, you know, obviously he's not there like with the camera, you know, this is all CG at this point, but he's still, he's still directing however one directs something like that. Yeah. And I think it definitely, I felt you could get his style off of that ending sequence.
And I loved it.
Yeah. As we're talking about the scene, you know, we talk about Adam Wingard. He very plainly stated prior to this movie coming out, he was like, you know, some crossovers don't do it, but there's going to be a clear winner at the end of this movie. You're going to know who won the fight. Who did you guys think / hope was going to win the fight coming into this movie?
I really thought it was going to be Godzilla.
Okay. Which I think most people did. That was kind of the meme, was like, okay, even if he got really big, King Kong's a monkey. This dude's a like immortal radiation firing dinosaur.
I was wrong.
Were you wrong? Let me ask Chris, what going into this too, what did you think as far as like who you wanted to win? What did you want to see happen?
The fight was advertised as Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
So let's take the robot out of it for a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I totally saw Godzilla make Kong submit.
Yeah, he tapped.
Like, and I believe they fought thrice. They each took one, and Godzilla, he put the foot on the chest. He's like, eh! And Kong's like, ugh! And he took the foot off. He didn't kill him. He took the foot off. He's like, I got you.
But
how do you guys feel about that moment? Because that moment is so cool. I love that moment.
It was a respect thing.
It was literally respect. And that's one of those moments where you see Godzilla emote.
Well, I read it a little more as like Godzilla's basically saying, say uncle, or I'm going to kill you. That's how I read it.
I saw it as Godzilla wants to kill Kong. He has his foot on Kong's chest and is like showing dominance. Like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And is like roaring in Kong's face. And while he's doing that, Kong is like, all right, I can match that. And does it. And then we get that close up on Godzilla. And it's like a smirk almost. It's like, all right, I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes back to the ocean. I was like, oh, that's sick.
He puts the foot off, and Kong borderline dies right there.
Yeah,
borderline.
Right.
And that's where I thought, I had the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, Godzilla's king. Suck it. Like, let's go.
I was sad, and I love Godzilla, but I was so sad because Kong throughout this movie, I was like rooting for him.
I wanted and expected him to, and like Chris, you said, we always knew there was going to be something else after their fight. They were going to have to team up. It's this. That's just how these stories function. I thought the whole kind of arc for him, but you learn that it's not really what he wants, which is it's just interesting to get like kind of an emotional arc out of Kong, because I went in this thinking like it's very pointedly called Godzilla versus Kong. We've established Godzilla is king of the monsters. I was like, in this movie, I think Kong's going to become King Kong. He's going to beat Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because so much of it's about him getting that axe. It was in the marketing. It was in the toys. If the whole second act is like he's going down there to get the axe, he's charging it up. He's going to beat Godzilla's ass with it. And he's going to show I thought the whole thing was going to be him saying, all right, Godzilla, you need to calm down and stop being such an asshole because there's somebody here who can check you. That's not what happens. He pretty much straight up loses, and I felt really bad for him because Kong's the one you relate with of the two. Yeah. Godzilla's a force of nature, and Kong still feels like an empathetic creature. Yeah. So like I felt terrible for him when he was down there.
Me too.
When he submitted, I really wanted to kind of see him come out on top in this fight. So I was bummed for him because I really did read that as like, I'll give you one chance to quit or I'm going to kill you right now. And Kong was like, I don't care about this shit as much as you do. I'd rather be alive. So fine, you're the king. Let me go. And like that's what happened. And Godzilla was like, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm out of here. And then right before he can leave, he's like, "Oh, who's playing that fucking song again? I swear to God, will make me turn around."
It's like, wait, it wasn't the monkey, it was you, like the whole time. Yeah. Like, and that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think that when I left the theater before we get to this crazy ass shit that happened, I thought Godzilla won the fight, plain and simple. Like, I thought that was it. Godzilla won, cool. I also expected Kong to win so they can call him King Kong by the end of this movie, and they didn't, and I was shocked. I'm like, they didn't call him King Kong? Because I mean, they put Kong over, to use some wrestling verbiage. They put Kong over at the end to make him still look badass, as they should.
It is total wrestling logic,
but like, so Kong Kong submits to Godzilla. Godzilla's like, I bet. Stop fucking with me. I don't gotta worry about you no more. You already know what's up. And like he tries to like go back to what he was initially focusing on, you know, with the stuff in the mountain. And the Mechagodzilla comes out all like freaking mechanical and shit. He's like, all right, let's do this. And then he gets his shit whipped. Like Godzilla
he gets his shit rocked.
It was to keep on the wrestling thing though. It was kind of a Money in the Bank situation. You caught him off guard. He just got down to this big fight. It's not that fair.
He has like the axe thing in his leg. He's barely mobile. It's like, come on.
He's been swimming around for days. Like not kind of shady to come at him at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
But from Mechagodzilla's POV, that's your time to strike. And he was out here pushing his face in the buildings. Like, I mean, he might as well just suplex him at this point. Just pick him up and drop him, right? Like, I was like, he was beating the out of him. And I'm like,
and in
oh
the
my
meantime,
God.
you have Alexander Skarsgård is like coming up with this plan. Like, we can blow this ship up on top of Kong and it'll jumpstart him.
It's always their solution. They're like, I don't know, blow something up next to him. Maybe he'll
resuscitate the monkey. Come on.
And so they do that, and Kong just wakes up and he's like, let's fucking do this.
Whipped by this robot.
Has a dislocated shoulder, slams it into a building.
So silly, but I love it.
Right.
Resets his shoulder. I was like, that is so hardcore and so badass.
It's like, well, what if we have King Kong do a thing that like people do in action movies? And I was like, yeah, I'm into it.
I'm all for it.
Very silly, but it worked for me.
Right. How did he know to do that? Like, like had he done that before?
Absolutely.
And I'm over here like, he's like, you could see his shoulders out of place. He's like, then he just hits the building. He's like, and I'm over here in the theater like, like, my God.
Yeah,
and then he just goes to fucking town.
But he struggles for a bit too. Like
that's right. He doesn't want to go into the fight.
Yeah,
but the little girl that's been like a central character and like a connection between the humans and Kong is like, that's not the enemy. Godzilla's not the enemy.
So you're gonna tell him that now? Why didn't you tell him that hours ago?
Yeah, go sign that to him.
Oh, right.
That metallic motherfucker right there, that's the enemy.
I did see I wish I could credit who it was, but I don't remember, a super funny tweet of like the girl signing like Godzilla is not the enemy. And then like him signing back like, who the fuck is Godzilla?
It's like these things have names. Like that guy has a name. Like we're over here like, yeah, go punch Godzilla. It's like, who's Godzilla?
Did you just come up with the sign language for Godzilla just now?
How do you sign Godzilla? That's it's just like Godzilla. Like how do you sign that?
Yeah, but no, he's got to dust off and go. How about the dude who was this close to taking him out? And he gets a couple hits in, but right away it does again. Mechagodzilla starts to get, because Mechagodzilla is a son of a bitch in this. He's like,
yeah, he's a son bitch.
He's a son bitch.
He's like devil incarnate. They don't outright. They basically just say he's become sentient. Like he wakes up right away, eats evil businessman.
We're to believe that the mind of Ghidorah has basically
independently
infiltrated,
which is a fun twist I was not expecting.
I was not expecting it.
Yeah, because I think I don't remember. Obviously, there's been so many iterations of these characters. I think Mechagodzilla originally has like some weird alien stuff tied to it as well. But that's what made me excited that they figured out, and it wasn't just a robot. Because I feel like just a robot shouldn't be able to hang with these guys, right? Like,
right.
So finding the angle of like
a robot controlled by an alien.
Controlled by Ghidorah, no less, who's like, I hate these guys so much. Like, I am so excited to get back.
A bitter fight. Ghidorah coming off of L. Like, that's some dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Although I do like to imagine that head, the one head that they had was like the kind of dopey one from King of the Monsters. You know what I'm talking about?
Always like getting knocked out of like frame whenever he tried eating something.
The dopey one. He was like, "This is my time. I'm gonna show those guys that I was so cool. I'm gonna take both these idiots out right now." He's like so eager. No, I like that twist because I didn't think like a human-made robot should really be able to hang with these guys. But Ghidorah's the one on the control panel. They had like the idiot who thought he was going to sync up and control it. He gets like his brain explodes from trying to sync with Ghidorah, which is good. I think that element is good because something I was thinking about today is like these characters, King Kong, Godzilla, very iconic, multi-generational, so many iterations that all, kind of stem from these ideas and scenes that aren't present in these iterations. Like King Kong, it's all about, falling in love with the actress, stealing her, climbing to the top of the Empire State Building, planes kill him, falls off. Like none of that in this iteration. Godzilla, I think you mentioned earlier, Connor, like this allegory for post-World War II Japan after the atomic bombings. It's like this cautionary tale. They kind of get rid of that for this Godzilla. They're like, he's this ancient being, Hollow Earth, all that's kind of different. So I did like in this, it's maybe a thin connection, but Mechagodzilla feels, again, like that idea of, advancing beyond our own good, playing with things we don't really understand or have no business doing. It's always, you didn't think whether you should, you just thought whether you could, stuff like that. It's our own hubris and ego that gets us in trouble. And we're like, oh, we could control a giant robot Godzilla by syncing up with the brain of that fucker who blew up Boston in the last movie. It's like, it kind of gets it back to the original energy of Godzilla. So I appreciated what they came up with. And really then being able to define how dangerous this guy should be, that he could hang with Godzilla and King Kong at the same time. They were going to have to figure out their little strategy to take them out together. And I love the finishing move because they do, like you said, Chris, they figure out a way for Kong lost, but he doesn't look weak. He still gets over.
They put him over, dude. They put him over. Like Godzilla, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't get the killing blow.
No, Godzilla does not get the killing blow. It's all Kong. Kong rocks the shit out of Mecha.
Chopping the shit out of the freaking robot.
And I love the moment he gets the axe and like Mechagodzilla still got him tenderized. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. And Godzilla just sits up and you can practically hear him like, hold up that axe. He just supercharges it for him. Like it's the only real move you see them like team up on where he's just like, I'm gonna hit that axe on purpose, hold it up. Like, and it's just a little moment.
One arm.
I just love it. He sits up and he's like, like he knows how bad that axe is. He's like, I'm gonna hit it again, and you go for him. Like it's all unspoken, but you could just feel that's the only real move they have. And then Kong just goes to town, just chops off all his limbs like it's fucking Monty Python, like takes him out limb from limb. Although part of, again, wrestling term, I still kind of wanted them to have like a double choke slam move on him at the end. Like I wanted to.
They were at least when Kong first showed up, they were like restraining him and they were trying to double team him, which is really ridiculous to see. But I'm over here like, yes! Like they were doing all these
for a
crazy
little while they were going at Mecha together. Trading.
There was no team. Their fighting styles didn't work well together.
It didn't work until Godzilla was about to be demolished by Mecha, and then did that like cannon blast onto the axe, and then Kong was like hacking the shit out of Mecha, and then finally wins, and that was that. I was like, oh shit!
Now to be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy. It was I wanted that fight to go a little bit longer, selfishly. So I thought it was a little too easy that Mechagodzilla got his shit rocked.
He does get in and get out pretty quick.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, I wanted to see at least one more like double team, like not maybe not a choke slam of sorts, but some more tag team moves between Godzilla and Kong. After like they're like, all right, we felt each other out, let's do this. And talk like Taylor, you beautifully said about how like these new Warner Brothers legendary iterations of Kong and Godzilla differ from the originals, the beloved originals, and like whether it's the Peter Jackson film, which a lot of people love, like they love that movie.
I do love that movie, yeah.
And I haven't seen it in a while. I have to revisit it. And the original Godzilla films that are pieces of art in themselves in cinema history, really. And they're still somehow slept on monster films. We always think of the Universal monsters, not really the ones from overseas. But they said, all right, like classics aside, we're going nuts. And like this is where the movie like momentarily had me thinking I was watching anime or some crazy shit like that. Because they were like they were doing all this crazy shit. Godzilla's getting his head thrown in the buildings. Kong is like jumping on top of Mechagodzilla, trying to rip the head open, can't do it. And it's like, oh, yo, like, and they're both getting their shit rocked. And the red beam or the tail is like spinning, and Kong's like, and he sounds like Chewbacca to me. But like he has the axe. Godzilla's like, and he does the whole axe thing, and it totally comes off as like, now this may be like a trope in film, like these team up movies where if you have two good guys fight each other, they're gonna fight an opposing force. But damn it, it was so freaking cool. Like I was thinking to myself, like, oh no, Kong's in the pickle. What's Godzilla gonna do? And he holds up the axe, and oh man, it's so dope. And yeah, he cuts some awfully quick or pretty quickly for my taste, but at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, that was so damn cool. And I didn't go for Mechagodzilla. I went for Godzilla and Kong proper.
Yeah.
And the fight that we got before that was more than enough for me. And the Mechagodzilla shit just added on. It was the icing on the cake for what this movie
we end on the humans and Kong being in Hollow Earth.
Although they do, let's not forget, they don't literally do this, but you do feel like there's this beat with Godzilla and Kong where it is feel like they give each other the nod of like, we're cool. They don't really do that, but Godzilla just takes off and kind of like looks at him like,
they look back at each other. He's like, all right, like you got like I'm gonna go back into the water now.
Yeah.
He's like, you're dope. You're dope.
It's like I'll remember that, but don't forget, like I beat your dumb ass. And he goes
don't get too loud again.
Right. It's like next time there's a big robot, I'll come help out, but don't be calling me. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Don't even think about making another one of these movies. Goodbye. Like,
right. Because next time there's another one, I'm gonna be pissed.
Like do your Hollow Earth thing, but I'm cooling.
Godzilla doesn't even give a shit about Hollow Earth. Godzilla couldn't give less of a shit.
No, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, do your thing down there. I'm cooling in the ocean for a while.
Right. Because, I mean, what was he doing before 2014? Jack shit.
He was cooling.
He was sleeping until they woke up the Mudos, and he was like, who the fuck said that?
It's like, God damn it. I gotta go deal with these motherfuckers.
His whole characterization is, I'm going to go to sleep, and somebody woke him up and he's mad about it. Like, that's his entire thing in these movies.
I'm waiting for the zoom shot of, like if they make another one of these and Kong, like, Godzilla's asleep underwater and, like, something crazy happens on Earth or on Hollow Earth, and it's a zoom shot of the eyes opening up. Like, that would be hard. Like, that's how you get me. And I know, I'm pretty sure one of us is going to bring up if they do more of these, right?
Oh, they've gotta. I don't think the MonsterVerse is over. Like, this would be such such a high point to end on. Like, it would be a shame for them not to do more, because this was great. Even if you go back to Adam Wingard, which I think would be a smart move, I think he gets this kind of movie. He understands it, gets it, knows what the audience wants, gave the audience what they want. Like, I do want to see more from Adam Wingard, like he's doing original stuff. He's good, but I do want to see him do more in this universe.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Well, I think that's a great. That's kind of where I wanted to move the conversation anyway. So I think that's a great place to go. This first of all, this ends in a way where I feel like it makes I don't know that they'll do this, but I feel like it makes sense to not make any more Kong movies. It feels like that's like his arc was like, I didn't care about any of the monster stuff. All I want to do is go home and like be happy. And like,
I think it's a logical next step for Kong's story because there's so much of Hollow Earth that was left unexplored. There's a whole world inside of Earth that we've only explored like this one like path.
Right. No, I mean, Hollow Earth basically is now that they've gone there, shown it, explain what it is and how it functions to some degrees.
We know there were other Kongs in Hollow Earth. We've seen that. We know that. And
we know anything can come out. It's basically they can use that as an excuse to introduce basically anything to this world.
Yeah.
It came out of the Hollow Earth. Okay.
They can introduce more Kongs. They can do a sequel to Kong Skull Island in Hollow Earth.
They could.
And then be like, here's more Kongs and here's more enemies that you didn't know about because you've only seen this section of Hollow Earth. That's how I viewed it. Yeah. I was like, oh, they're setting up a Kong sequel, like a true Kong sequel in Hollow Earth.
And them ending in Hollow Earth and all the humans are there and Kong's there and the movie just abruptly ends, which I didn't like. I will say that the movie just kind of ends and I'm like, oh, that's okay, but it is what it is. But yeah, this is definitely the end of this version of Godzilla, which is unfortunate because like, what else do you do? Like what?
So, yeah, that's what I'm kind of interested in saying.
Where do you go?
Is what do you guys want to see? Because as we said at the top of this is having a pretty damn successful release, even considering the circumstances. I feel like this is going to be the hit that they were hoping it would be, which it needed to be, really, because like we said, just it wasn't getting the momentum that you would expect something like this to get. I feel like this is the hit that they needed. So now you would think, all guns blazing, what's next? Where would you guys want it to go, or do you think it could go? Like, what do you think is next for this series of movies?
I would like to see a true Kong Skull Island sequel in Hollow Earth. After that, I would love to see another Godzilla movie, like true Godzilla movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they would do if it's something that comes up from Hollow Earth. I feel like that would be the central like driving point to all these movies going forward is like Hollow Earth and like the monsters coming from Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I would like to see solo movies from these two monsters going forward, and then maybe they team up again.
Mm-hmm. With that in mind, right? Like if anything comes up from Hollow Earth, I think it's gonna be Kong's to deal with. Like what we were just talking about, like with Godzilla, like, oh damn it, here we go again. And like, I just want to go to, I just want to sleep for thousands of years. Y'all leave me alone. Oh, but if they don't make another one of these movies, okay. This is a great movie to end on. Yes, this is a great movie to end this series of films, because you can argue that Kong Skull Island is a pseudo sequel to Godzilla, and like these are all sequels of one another. And here we are, bang, big climactic piece, you end. And I really hope this movie, if we say hypothetically we don't get any more, I really hope this movie and this franchise of films made people love Godzilla and Kong again. Because I know like that Peter Jackson King Kong movie, people love it. It has its own little fan base where people are like, "Oh, this movie rules!" And it's, from what I remember, like I'm the one that's seen it probably the least out of all of us here, but I really dug it. It was really cool. And granted, it was the OG take on the character, but I like what they did with these films. And I hope these series of movies really invigorated that love for Godzilla, at least here in American markets, that love Godzilla, love King Kong. And we see more of these characters going forward in cinema. Because shit, before 2014, what was it, 1998? Last time we got Godzilla on American screens, at least with an American team behind it. Because obviously they've been coming out with the Toho stuff for years now. They never really stopped. But damn, I really hope a new love comes for these characters, like the way we love them. or
Yeah.
because these are film icons.
I really hope people look back on the MonsterVerse movies and are like, wow, these movies are really sick.
Right,
Like,
and they stick out like they're unlike anything else. They're not like Transformers or Pacific Rim or whatever big monster robot franchise you can think of. They stick out in their own way, right? Or they're nothing like them superhero flicks, nothing like them,
right?
And like it's a whole different crowd, a whole different audience, right? And if this is the last one we get, great. I think they did justice to both.
And I'd be fine with it ending on this high note because I'm just happy Adam Wingard finally got a win again because he's been shit on for so long. After
he's doing Thundercats for Warner Brothers.
Blair Witch, if you view that movie as like a sci-fi movie, it rules. Death Note, a lot of people hate it. I love that movie. I watched that movie a lot. I loved everything Adam Wingard has done from VHS to Death Note to Godzilla versus Kong. So I was just happy people are like, wow, this movie.
This may be his launching pad into the mainstream because all those things we just said are really neat.
He's a sequel to Face Off. He's doing Thundercats. He's in the stratosphere now. Like
he's getting those studio projects for
right,
and that was all getting signed off on before this even came out. So
because I mean this has been done for a while, so
Warner Brothers knew what they had. And obviously they liked what they had too.
Before we've seen it. And they were like, all right, this dude rules. Let's give him Face Off. Let's give him Thundercats.
They're clearly trusting that he's a filmmaker they can put in that position and probably being Warner Brothers too. I mean, I don't want to step too heavily in this conversation. Obviously we've been there, but when you look at like Zack Snyder, what happened with his movie, they clearly must have said, okay, Adam Wingard's a guy you can put in there, and he's not going to want to take too much control. He's gonna work. He's gonna deliver what we're looking for, which is kind of what the whole Marvel thing's been too. So like, it seems like Adam Wingard's proven with this movie, not just on the quality of the film, but I guess behind the scenes and how he worked on it, that he's a guy they can trust, and he's interested in doing these tentpole movies too.
Now, this is one last conversation I want to talk about. Now, Adam Wingard said after, Face Off and Thundercats, he wants to get back to his like original stuff. He wants to get back to indie horror. After he does another indie horror and that blows up and makes like crazy returns, do you think Marvel goes to him?
Marvel's reached out to every single actor and director working today. I have a feeling.
Do you think Adam Wingard will do like a big property picture like that?
If he's going to do the Thundercats movie, I would say he's certainly going to be open to doing a Marvel movie.
Okay.
This is the same studio that locked down Chloe Zhao, right?
Yeah.
Just got all the stuff for Nomadland. They got Scott Derrickson, the Sinister guy, to come do Doctor Strange, the first movie at least. Mm-hmm. And like they're no stranger to bringing in these.
Sam Raimi.
They got the Russo brothers who did sitcoms to come do action.
And you pulled Sam Raimi back into superhero movies.
That too. And we thought that would never happen after the Spider-Man trilogy that Sony did all them years ago. So I mean, anything's possible. I think Adam Wingard, he's gonna be, and this. Let's also keep in mind this solely depends on how successful and how good these next couple projects are. Adam Wingard's by no means untouchable right now. Like he's not Christopher Nolan. He's not Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder would get anything made at this point. But Adam Wingard isn't that.
Adam Wingard is like able to crack that like level.
If he makes Thundercats good and socially relevant, give him all the money in the world.
If he makes a workable Face Off sequel with Nicolas Cage and
John Travolta. You want them to come back?
John Travolta, like, do whatever you want, dude.
Yeah, I think
I would love to see Adam Wingard in the MCU, like a neon, like centric MCU movie, just
neon,
lots of
the Dazzler movie when they introduce.
Damn, that'd be some crazy shit.
Lots of synth music soundtrack, like just a crazy, like different kind of MCU movie. I think Adam Wingard would rule.
I wish if Doctor Strange wasn't coming out so soon, I would have had Wingard do Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, Wingard dominate with Doctor Strange.
But I think Sam Raimi's
Sam Raimi will do
fine.
good.
But
maybe he'll be Doctor Strange 3, right? Like you never know.
Who knows? It
wouldn't shock me if he gets involved in the Marvel stuff. By the same token, wouldn't shock me if he ends up doing a DC project as they're just signing on a new one every single day and then simultaneously signing off one every single day. It wouldn't surprise me if Adam Wingard's name gets brought up in those conversations as well.
I'm just excited to see what Adam Wingard does next besides what we already know he's going to do. I'm very excited about Face Off 2.
And I hope it enables him. I'm always, and it's the Marvel thing. It's like, okay, you come in, you direct this $300 million movie. It does well. And now that you've got that credit and now you've got that ability to go in and pitch stuff and make what you're interested in too. So by the same token, I hope it'll help him make some more creator driven stuff.
Yes. I want to see another like You're Next or The Guest, like that kind of movie.
Right. And after you do a movie like this, studios are easily going to bankroll that too.
I'm hoping these kind of movies will let him do that because that's where he shines. That's where he's really good. Your Next is fantastic. That movie rules. The Guest rules. So if these movies lead him to go back into that, I'll be happy.
Yeah, for sure. And before we wrap up here, I also want to say I can definitely see the perspective of this possibly, this working as the last movie in this story. But if it is a hit, there's no way they'll let it be because that's just never how these things function.
Right.
And
what's next, though? That's the thing.
I think the big question is this. Do they actually want this to be a cinematic universe or is this the Godzilla series? Like, are we going to figure out, because I'm like, let's do the Mothra movie. Let's figure out what that looks like.
I would love to see a Mothra movie.
Like, is that what's next? Where they're like, okay, maybe we cool off on the concept.
They set up so much in King of Monsters that I think anything is possible.
You'd have to go back.
Cinematic universe. They will do a Ghidorah movie.
I think you'd have for all that, for everything y'all just said, for Ghidorah, for Rodan, for Mothra, you'd have to go back. You can't go forward. I think this is a logical end to the timeline, but we can revisit things that have already happened. Maybe some things that have been mentioned, maybe some things that haven't been mentioned. Like, we just stick in this timeline. 2021 is where it stops, but let's go back and see that Mothra flick because I think the logical end of this universe just happened because they already ranked the greatest hits of the kaijus in this world. You did Ghidorah already. You did Rodan already. You did Mothra. You just did Mecha Godzilla.
But you set up so much backstory for Ghidorah where it can be revisited.
Right, and that's my thing. You can go back
on this. This dude is not from this universe.
Right.
This is an alien.
And do you want to get that weird too? Like if we want to get weird with stuff like this, then by all means. But I'm firmly thinking like if this is the last one, great. But in 5 years, maybe let's try Godzilla again, but let's do something different and maybe not have them immediately intertwined with all these other kaijus. Like I think we can we can work with something because I mean Toho's been doing it for decades and they've worked for the most part. They've worked and they found a way to have this character keep popping up without the character getting old or whatever. So I think we can revisit this in a few years. Obviously, like Warner Brothers is over there like, this movie's successful, but the story's out. Let's put another one in development. We'll reboot it in 5 years. Like they did with Transformers. So I mean, granted, I know that's Universal, right? That does Transformers.
That's
Paramount.
Paramount. So I mean, with Godzilla, it's like, you know what? I think this story's done unless you go back and tell other stories that have already happened. But I think we just see these characters in a different light.
The only logical next step in this timeline is Kong in Hollow Earth. That's the only next logical step.
Right. But how do you just get bigger than what you've already established?
Yeah. Sure.
I kind of wish they didn't do Ghidorah so soon, so we can have both these characters fight Ghidorah. But
they'll figure something out because I for one do not want to see this be the end of the MonsterVerse.
Neither do I. I want to see more because I love the world they established.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything that tops Mechagodzilla, that tops you killing Ghidorah in the first movie he's in.
But there's so much in the like 50s and all that, those movies. There's so much.
I know what they got to do. How do you top King Kong? You got to get the rights to Gamera. Okay,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, bring in Turtle Godzilla and have those two fights. That's what I don't know if Chris knows who Gamera is.
No, I don't. We're getting more kaiju?
He's basically, he was basically a Godzilla ripoff, but it was like, what if Godzilla's a turtle instead of a lizard?
Yeah.
But those two never met. They never met. And there's tons of Gamera movies too. Like it was just part of the big kaiju boom when that subgenre came out. Everybody's
probably shitting themselves just by you mentioning that.
Chris, let me break it down for you wrestling terms.
Mhm.
This is Undertaker Sting. These guys never met. They were killing it in their own lanes all these years. It's time for them to meet. And inevitably they're gonna fight and then they're gonna team up against something else. They never did before.
Before we sign off, how many dorsal fins do we get in this movie?
How many dorsal fins have you drank?
Dorsal fins.
This is my second favorite of the bunch. And just in case, like, I don't know if it's gonna be asked, but I'll rank them anyway because there's only 4, right? Yeah, it's only 4. Godzilla, the first one to me, I still think is the best movie of the bunch. This one, Godzilla vs. Kong, Skull Island, King of Monsters. But damn it, I had so much fun watching this movie. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 dorsal fins. I think so. But like my metric system, I found out is super weird. But this is just my fun meter. I had so much fun watching this movie. No, this isn't Citizen Kane. This isn't Pulp Fiction. Don't expect Pulp Fiction. Don't expect this big, great story. Because let's be real, it's thrown apart. It's thrown together at some parts. But damn it, it's fun. It's so much fun to watch. 4 out of 5 dorsal fins.
I'm giving this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dorsal fins. I've seen it 3 times. It hasn't dropped. It's 5 out of 5 for me.
I probably go 3.5 dorsal fins.
Okay.
Which is about what I pretty much given all these movies. You know, it's that same thing as like, yeah, they drag a little bit sometimes. Yeah, the characters kind of run in and just say some nonsense. And I go, all right, if you said so. Do I feel attached to any of these people? Not really. Even the recurring characters, Millie Bobby Brown, Kyle Chandler, I didn't really care about them in this movie either. They're all a means to getting to the stuff that I like. And that's the thing. When I get to that stuff, I like it a lot. And the other stuff doesn't bother me enough that it's a hindrance either. 3.5 is about where I always chart these movies. Maybe I'll revisit this one again and like it even more because that's what I learned with all these movies. Is I like them more than I even realized. But maybe it's recency bias, but I'll say I think this might be my favorite one of the bunch.
This is my favorite one out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Word. Respect.
Yeah, and I love that I can just go watch it again right now. Like I'll probably after we talk about it all night. Yeah, I think at the very least, like I'm gonna go scrub through and go to the Hong Kong scene before bed, right? Like I love that for the next 30 days I can just watch this again and again and again.
Yeah.
It lends itself
I'm abusing that. I'm abusing that privilege.
Yeah, it lends itself to seeing at least one time properly. Big, bad, loud, nasty. Right. But if you just want to watch that scene back before bed one more time, like I can't wait to go do that. I want to watch those fight scenes at least. So no, I dug the movie a lot. I don't know what's next for this series, but I hope it's something, and I'm definitely in the bag for it. Keep the MonsterVerse going. I'm here for it, 100%.
Totally.
This was great. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk about this movie. Was it a horror movie? Probably not. I don't care.
It's horror adjacent.
Yeah. I really just wanted to talk about Godzilla versus Kong, as I know
Me too.
Did. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for coming on. Can't wait to see you again in a few weeks for Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a riot. This has been great. Thank you for watching at home, or if you listen on your favorite podcast app. Be sure, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, comment, whatever you do on that service. Helps us out, helps this channel out, and we appreciate your support. 100%. So go out there, make a little bit of noise, but not too much, or else you'll wake up Godzilla, and we just won't have Florida anymore. It'll be gone.
That one up there.
Stay spooky, my friends. We'll see you in the next.